I don't think I ever envisioned the company as a child growing up. I didn't think about its size becoming as vast as it is today.
I think it speaks to how special the legacy is at Manatt's, that people are willing to spend their whole career here, and their kids and their grandchildren. I mean, what better legacy than that?
One of the big things we talk about is how what sets us apart is really our people. That anybody can go out and buy the equipment. It's who we have that builds these projects that really sets us apart. And that, I think, lies in our values of family and the loyalty and the legacy that matters so much to us at Manatt's.
While things have evolved over the last 75 years, it's still hard work, you know? It hasn't gotten easier, we've just gotten bigger and faster. But at the end of the day, what we do requires a lot of hard work. And it's been 75 years of us as a family, our employees, all working extremely hard to get to where we're at.
I started early in 1956, 59.
Gee, I think I was in middle school working odd jobs for my dad over at the Tama plant.
I started with Manatt in, I believe, the summer of 2012.
I drove truck for him, drove mixer truck, drove dump truck. After that, then I went on to manage some of their plants and some of their projects.
My mother had 6 children, and we were kind of in the middle of the pack, Brent and I think for an out during the summer months, she'd send us to work with my father, and he was good enough to let us tag along and watch and learn.
To tell the truth about the thing, they started when they was very, very young, and I just included them. They learned everything I knew, and I'm trying to carry it on.
Ever since we were little kids going to Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever family event we had, you know, the talk was Manatt's between Grandpa, both my uncles, and the other relatives that worked for the company. And, you know, it sounds like a great place to work. I want to at least experience that. So going there at the time just for a part-time job, earned some money while going to college, and just fell in love with the company and the industry, and decided that's where I wanted to be.
Grandkids are involved now, and they're learning fast. Their education is a lot higher than I had. I really admire them.
Our family's been a part of Manatt's history for, what I believe, over 60 years. So there's a lot of legacies that have already been left here, and more legacies to leave.
I am glad that my grandpa started on this journey way back when he did, and I'm just happy to be here now.
Our beginnings were humble in every product line. We started with one truck and grew into a large trucking company. We started with one concrete plant in Brooklyn, Iowa, and grew into one of the larger ready-mix producers in the state of Iowa, or maybe even the Midwest. We started with a little asphalt paver. We started with one sand and gravel pit to become one of the larger aggregate producers in Iowa, or maybe the Midwest. But we've always started from humble beginnings in everything that we've done, and it's grown for us.
You know, when I look at this truck, I see the start of something special, because while the stories are Junie borrowed $600 from Grandpa and leveraged the rest against the bank, it shows his creativity and his spirit, a little bit of Yankinism, and I just have always liked that aspect about our humble beginnings.
I first started at Manatt, I was a staff accountant on an audit team. We came down here and I thought, boy, this is really a big operation. And I can tell you in the last 42 years, it has grown about 10 times to what it was then.
We went from just paving streets to paving the interstates. And then we got into asphalt paving, and we made concrete products. We were in a little bit of everything. And when I started, they had 2 ready-mix plants. And then pretty soon we bought the plant at Victor. Then we bought the plant at New Sharon, and then Dysart, and then Traer. And then we built one in Tama.
A lot of the acquisitions, we were the buyer of choice. Local guys, Iowa contractors came to us and said, hey, buy my business. And I think they came to us because we put together a best deal for them and the deals that worked for us.
In a lot of the acquisitions, they would find the right person, and sometimes that person wouldn't be exactly the way they wanted to manage, but they would help those people and mold those people, coach them.
We kind of look at ourselves as the Manatt family of businesses. Parts of that are Norris Asphalt down in southern Iowa. Dowd Stone was a big acquisition for us. Then we've got Wendling Quarries, obviously, and then the Pelling Group out of Iowa City is another major player in our growth. And then along the technology side, I think it's pretty phenomenal what we've done with technology. I always talk about there was a wave. And if there was a wave, construction companies used to be back here. And over the last 5 years, we've moved a lot closer to the peak of the wave.
The Manatts have always been open about moving people around if they feel they can benefit the company and also the person, and find that human potential in them. That's one of the things I'm proud of here, is that you know, the Manatts have always been willing to look out for their employees and let them run.
In the next 75 years, number one, I hope they've got this to the 5th generation. Generation 4 will be knocking on the door. So I hope they're in the 5th generation. I hope they're still out there doing what they do best, taking care of their employees. I hope they're thought of as the employer of choice. Maybe not even across Powashik County, across the whole state of Iowa.
I'm very excited for the company. It's got a long history. I'm very proud to work here. I don't think I'd have put 47 years in if I didn't like working here.
It's hard to think what the next 75 years is going to look like when you look back and see how much has changed in the 15 years that I've been here. And just being a part of that growth and the new processes and technologies that are going to come our way, it's something to look forward to.
We're scattered across the state of Iowa and ready mix and asphalt, and they're all part of the communities that they serve. City officials and inspectors, DOT officials, they want Manatts to come and do their projects because they know it'll be done right, it'll be done on time, and they'll do a good job.
Continuing to build relationships, which I think has enabled our entrepreneurial success, continues to be important as we look to the future. Attracting people who relate to and embrace our values and who want to join the legacy that is Manatt's. Just like Manatt's was built in the first 75 years, not just by people named Manatt, but by a lot of people, by a lot of other families who've given of their time and talent and built their legacy as part of the Manatt's legacy. The next 75 years is going to be built in a similar way.
We realize we're stewards for this business, and one of the biggest things, priorities for us, is to continue to build what was already started and set the example for the 4th generation. So we want to hold those values very closely. We want to not honor the past by living in it, but rather celebrating it and continuing on that entrepreneurial spirit. So, you know, what does that look like in the 3rd generation, 4th generation and beyond? I don't know. We just know that we've been successful by honoring that and being very smart about our growth, continuing to build great relationships, being a good steward for the business, for the communities that we serve. We feel like that's the recipe that's brought us success, and we look for it to continue and evolve.